Hello, everybody. How are you all? Are you happy? Are you practicing mindfulness? If you have any questions, please type them in the commentary box. And please let me know how is the audio. Does it sound okay? Does it sound all right? The audio? Can you hear me okay? Alisa Teng Teng Ajahn Satu 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 Nabiti Namaskara Ajahn from Medan. Meal on meditation. Good morning, Kanajan. How are you? Shompu MTR. Satu, Satu. Meal on meditation. Sound and picture are good. Patsy Chung. Satu, Satu, Satu. From Nigan Sam. Good sound, Ka Prajan. Thank you. So if you have any questions, type them in. We have about 1 hour to answer your questions. Today is Saturday morning, 11:30 a.m. in Thailand. From our apprentice, sound is clear, and yes, I am happy. Thank you. Lily Siswanto, Vandami Ajan. Good morning. Very good to see you again. It must be late at night in Los Angeles. From Czech Ling Tan, greetings Tanjan. Good to see you. Sound and picture are good. Thank you. Must be about 9 p.m. in Vancouver. Sweet Anne, hello Ajahn. Hope you feel better from your flu. Yes, much better. Almost 100% now. Just a little bit mucus left, but not much. From Felicia Chan, Satu. From assistant.ajansuchat@gmail.com. From Job Sequel, Chile, South America. Could you please explain what are the three tanhas that give rise to dukkha? And could you give daily life example of each one of the three tanhas? The three tanhas or cravings are first kama tanha, meaning sensual desire or sensual craving for sensual gratification. The second is called bhava tanha, the desire or the craving to be. And the third one is vibhava tanha, the desire or the craving not to be. These are the three cravings of tanha: kama tanha, bhava tanha, vibhava tanha. For example, kama tanha, sensual cravings, desire to see a movie, desire to listen to music, craving for coffee, or some of your favorite dishes. These are called cravings for sensual objects. They can also be sexual desire. When you have sexual desire, this is also kama tanha, craving for sensual gratification. Bhava tanha, the desire to be, is the desire to be something that you are not right now. For instance, if you're not rich, you want to be rich. This is bhava tanha. The desire to be somewhere else can be considered bhava tanha. you are staying at home and you are bored and you are bored. You want to go out. This can be considered to be Bhava Tanha, to, uh, to be handsome, to be rich, for instance. These are Bhava Tanha. Vibhava Tanha is the desire not or the craving not to be something, like not to get old, get sick or die, not to be poor, not to be handicapped, not to be scolded, for instance. These are considered to be Vibhava Tanha. Okay, I hope this answers your question. Jock Siegel from Chile, South America. Quantan Satu, Satu, Satu. From Ubeka Go Mun Chuan. Good morning, Ajahn. I have a question that when meditation, I can sit long because my leg can't stand the painfulness. Can Ajahn tell me how to face the painfulness? You need strong mindfulness. So before you meditate, maybe you should try to develop a lot of mindfulness first. You can develop mindfulness all the time, from the time you get up to the time you go to sleep. So as soon as you get up, try to develop mindfulness by reciting a mantra or by focusing on your body. Look at your body. Don't let your mind go somewhere else. Keep it with the body. If your body is doing something, keep your mind with the activity of the body. Or keep reciting the mantra if the mind wants to think about something else. Try to stop thinking as much as possible. Once you have this mindfulness, when you sit and when your body becomes painful, you can recite the mantra. Keep reciting the mantra and don't pay attention to the pain of the body. And the pain of the body will not bother you. Because what bothers you is the pain of the mind created by your lack of mindfulness. When you don't have when you don't have mindfulness and your body is painful, you will have the desire to get rid of the pain by getting up, for instance. And when you want to get up, then you will feel uneasy when you have to sit. But if you keep continuing reciting the mantra or chanting or recite the 32 parts of the body, your mind will forget about the painfulness of the body, and then it will not create the desire to get away from the pain. Then it can remain sitting and become calm, peaceful, and happy. Lily Siswanto. It is only 9:30 p.m. Not yet daylight saving time. Thank you for your advice about focusing on the 32 body parts to my husband. Indra. He practiced it immediately after receiving your advice, and he said it was really good. Well, very good to hear that. It's a very good method of developing mindfulness or concentration by reciting the name of the 32 parts of the body, forward and backward, because it will force you to really concentrate. Then your mind will have strong mindfulness to resist your cravings and desire. From ตัดอริโยสาธุครับผมติดตามหลวงพ่อตลอดครับสาธุสาธุ Another question from assistant.ajansuchad@gmail.com from Yin NG. If I don't experience nimitta during meditation, is this good or is it lack of deep concentration? Nimitta is generally considered to be distracting when you do meditation for calm and peacefulness. So if you don't have any nimitta, you are lucky. So don't wish for any nimittas, because if you have nimitta, then you will be distracted and you will not be able to enter into deep concentration. Second, can a person experience equanimity before experiencing piti? No, you have to go through piti first before you enter into equanimity. But this is something that might happen very suddenly. Sometimes the piti might not even appear, such as some person who recite the mantra Bhutto Bhutto, and when the mind becomes concentrated enough, it will fall into equanimity without going through piti, like falling from a high place. Sometimes if you use other method, you might go from one step to the next, and you might first experience piti and happiness before you enter into equanimity. But don't worry about how it happens. Just keep focusing on your meditation object. Don't try to speculate or be distracted by whatever happens when you meditate. Just keep focusing on your meditation object. After meditating, one loses the drive to do more activities and will take on less responsibility. This is the right path. Yes, because after you find peace and happiness inside yourself, you feel that you don't really want to do anything outside of your body, outside of your mind. And so you want to lessen your responsibility. But that doesn't mean that you are not responsible. You just choose the responsibility that you think you have to have. But those responsibility that you think you can discard, then you will discard them. Because the reason why you have so many responsibility before is because you want happiness from them. But now you find that you can have happiness within yourself. So there's no need to have so many responsibility anymore. From Ama Ayugue, Ajahn, can you please explain how to get free from Silabbata Paramasa? In order to get free from Silabbata Paramasa, you need to become a Sotapanna. You need to uh, see the Four Noble Truths. And you will see that your dukkha are caused by your cravings or your bad actions, your bad karma. Once you know that it's your bad karma that are causing you all the dukkha, then you don't have to, then you will have no doubt in your karma. So you want to prevent yourself from doing any bad karma. So you will keep the precept, for instance. Silabbata Paramasa means not seeing the benefits, the real benefits of keeping the sila. But once you have experienced the Four Noble Truths, you'll find that sila is something very important for you to keep. Because if you break sila, you are doing bad karma through your cravings or desire. But if you can stop your craving or your desire, then you would have no need to break any precept or break any sila. So you have to see the working of the Four Noble Truths inside yourself. People normally, when they do bad karma because they crave for something, or they have some kind of craving, sometimes they're in a painful situation, so they might go hurt somebody to relieve of their painful situation. But with a Sotapanna, he'll see that the way to relieve his own suffering is to stop his craving, his desire. And then when there's no desire to go hurt anybody, one can keep the sila. From Koi Apicha, Sophonwat, Satu, Satu. From Ananda T, Satu, 3 times. From Dylan Elvis. By the way, Dylan, the other day you came in the Zoom meeting. Since you didn't show your face, I was a little bit suspicious. I'm not sure whether you have good intention or not, so I have to remove you from the room. I hope you don't mind. Next time, if you join the Zoom meeting, please show your face at least once to know that you are real, not causing any problem. Satu Satu Bhante, could you describe stream of consciousness, Citta Viti, and what causes origin of Citta? Well, to answer the second question, there is no causes that the origin of Citta. The Citta has always been and will always be. So there's no origin. There are 6 things in the entire realm of existence that are always there, not created nor destroyed. They are the 6 elements: the earth element, the water element, the wind element, the fire element, the knowing element, and the space element. So there's no need to go figure out how, who, or what give rise to this element. They are always there. The problem is not with the origin of this citta. The problem is how to get rid of the suffering or dukkha inside the citta. As far as stream of consciousness is the stream of the vijnana, the one of the nama khanda, and also of the thoughts and perception that it keep constantly streaming all the time. You keep thinking all the time. Your consciousness, vijnana, keep connecting to the sensual organs to accept or to receive the sensual objects. They are working constantly all the time. So these are the stream of consciousness. You can call the 4 nama khandas to be the stream of consciousness. From Michelle Kaur, Satu, Satu, Satu. Anuma Gelbo, Satu, Satu. Another question from assistant.ajansuchat@gmail.com. From Kabir Kim Chandani in Spain. Question number 1. I believe sensual pleasures are the massive obstacle. Is sense restraint a prerequisite in order to see the danger of sensual pleasure? Sense restraint is the result of seeing the danger in sensual pleasure. So you want to restrain your senses, because when you have allowed the sensual desire to come up, you can become unhappy or uneasy. You cannot remain calm and still. So by seeing the danger of sensual pleasure, one try to restrain the sensual desire. Why yes? Why no? If yes, would a layperson benefit from celibacy? I hope I understand. I answer your question. Yeah. Sensual pleasures are the massive obstacle. Is sense restraint a prerequisite in order to see? Sense restraint is the result of seeing the danger of sensual desire, because sensual desire can cause you suffering when you cannot achieve your desire. Like when you want to like somebody and that somebody doesn't like you, then you become sad, for instance. Would a layperson benefit from celibacy? Yes, because everybody can benefit from celibacy, because then he can be free from this sensual cravings to have somebody as a partner. Then he would have no problem with the partner, and he or she can be alone and happy, not sad. But you need to meditate also. By simply have celibacy is not enough to curb or control your sexual desire or sensual desire. You need to meditate in order to be able to calm your mind and then live happily as a celibate. From somebody written in Chinese character. Dear Ajahn, when one sees rising and ceasing fast and become phobia, is a samadhi or vipassana? Ajahn, please advise how to practice further. Sadhu. Dear Ajahn, when one sees rising and ceasing fast and become phobia, is this samadhi or vipassana? I think this is more of not having strong mindfulness yet. When you meditate, you don't want to see things rising or ceasing. You want to concentrate on your meditation object to calm your mind down, to have ubeka. Because once you have ubeka, when you see thing rises or ceases, you will have no phobia. You will remain calm and undisturbed. So you need to develop more mindfulness when you practice meditation and ignore watching the rising and ceasing of everything except your meditation object, such as your mantra or your breath. Keep focusing on that alone, mantra or breath, until your mind become empty and calm, peaceful, and have equanimity. Then after that, when you come out and you start to see things and look at them as rising and ceasing, you will have no phobia. Your mind will remain calm and peaceful and, and accept the truth that everything rises and ceases. This is called vipassana. Before you get to vipassana, you have to get to samadhi first. You have to have equanimity first before you will have a mind ready to see the rising and ceasing of everything. Question number 2 from Kabir Keme Kemchandani in Spain. What's the best way to find a teacher if one lives in a country where Buddhism is not very much spread? Would an online teacher work? How is the procedure of establishing the teacher-student role? I find the best way to get a teacher when you are not living close to a living teacher is to use the Dhamma teaching of the Buddha as your teacher. Study some of the major suttas, the principal suttas. The first discourse, the first sutta, the sutta on anatta, the sutta on the four foundation of mindfulness, the sutta on the Mangala Sutta, and then study them and to get a clear understanding of what the Buddha teaches. You can consider this to be having a teacher already by using the teaching of the Buddha as your teacher. And then you can go search online and see and find the other teachings by other meditation masters. I would recommend reading the forest tradition teaching of the meditation master, like Ajahn Lungta Mahabua teaching, for instance. This can serve as your teacher without having to meet them personally. The procedure of establishing the teacher-student role is to to accept the teacher as your teacher and study and follow the teaching of your teacher. So this is the role. You are the student. So you have to believe in your teacher, believe in his teaching, and then follow up his teaching. ความอุเบกขาโกบุญส่วนสาธุอาจารย์พันเตชุนวัตชินประดิษฐารามสาธุ From Alyssa Teng Teng, Ajahn, during meditation for about 10 minutes or more, when start to have a bit concentration, most of the time suddenly my eye just open up. Why is it so? That's because you lost concentration, you lost mindfulness. So just close your eyes and then continue on with your meditation. Why is it so and how do I overcome it and continue meditation? Just ignore it. When you open up your eyes, then you close your eyes and then continue on with your meditation, focusing on your breath, reciting the mantra. It's no big deal. It just means that you cannot focus or concentrate. So your mind keeps open. So try to close your eye and then try to recite the mantra or watch your breath. From Hai Eng Il, how do we know a person is practicing the Dhamma wrongly in his daily life? I have met with Dhamma practitioners who are rigid in their views. Well, first of all, you have to know the right practice. If you don't know the right practice, then it's hard for you to see whether another person is doing the practice correctly or not. So it's better not to worry about them. Worry about you first of all. Try to find the right practice for yourself and do it by studying the teaching of the Buddha, following the Noble Eightfold Path, for instance. Keep checking with the Noble Eightfold Path, seeing whether you are following the teaching of the Noble Eightfold Path or not. From Hort Max Lee, Ajahn, when we feel the pain, we use a mantra to keep the pain away. How to see the truth if we don't see how the pain arises and ceases? When you use the mantra, you don't keep the pain away. You keep the mind away from the pain. The pain will still remain in the same place in the body. But you want to keep your mind from being distracted by the pain. Because when the mind is being distracted by the pain, the mind will not be able to remain calm and peaceful. So you need to use the mantra to pull the mind away from the pain. So the mind can become calm and peaceful, and then can watch the rising and ceasing of pain. So you're not trying to get rid of the pain. You're trying to pull away your mind from the pain, so it can become concentrated and have equanimity. Once it has equanimity, then it can remain calm and can see the rising and ceasing of the pain. From Ling Yu Ming, good afternoon and Suki Hotu to Ajahn Suchat, Mahasangha and all the Dhamma and all in the Dhamma. May Ajahn and all be well, healthy, safe, contented, peaceful and happy. Metta, Sadhu, Sadhu. From Ling Yu Ming, do ghosts really exist or mind-made? We are all ghosts with a body. We are spiritual beings connected to a physical body. So when the physical body dies, then all we are left is the spiritual body or the spiritual being. This we can call them ghosts. Some said it is the manifestation of the mind. and there is no ghost. Thank you for enlightening us. See, the real ghost doesn't scare you. It's the fake ghost that keeps scaring you. The fake ghosts are the ghosts you created in your mind. The real ghosts are the spiritual beings who already departed from this world, and they continue on to their next existence. So they don't have time to come and scare you. The ghosts that scare you are the manifestation of the mind itself. So there's no need to be afraid of any ghost. The real ghost doesn't scare you. It's the fake ghost that will keep scaring you. From Ananda Setri, Sadhu, Sadhu, Sadhu. Sally Chi, send flowers. From Lily Siswanto, Ajahn, I am trying to get my children to meditate as well. So we will have a family meditation session at night for 12 minutes. The young one aged 9 fall asleep most of the time. Any suggestion to reduce the sleepiness? I use a soft voice to give them guidance, like breathing in and out. Say Bhutto or help them wish metta to occupy their mind to my voice. Is this okay? I think for children, I think it's better for you to teach them how to chant first. Do the chanting instead of do the meditation because they don't have enough mindfulness yet. So it's better to chant together in a group for 15 minutes or so. This is also one way of meditating, but it's a it's a beginner's way. So it's better to start with chanting, group chanting first. And then after that, continue on with sitting meditation. And if they still fall asleep, then just don't worry about it. They're too young for meditation. Another question from Ajahn, Assistant Ajahn Suchat at gmail.com. From Kabir Kemchandani, Spain. Question number 2. What's the best way to find a teacher if one lives in a country where Buddhism is not very much spread? Then you have to look teachers in the form of books. When I started, I live in a Buddhist country, but I couldn't find a Buddhist teacher either. So I got books from Sri Lanka, from the Buddhist Publication Society. That's a good source of teaching of the Buddha. Go search online for Buddhist Publication Society in Kandy, Sri Lanka. They have lots of books, some free and some cost money, but they will give you a wide range of teaching of the Buddha. Would an online teacher work? You can try that. It might work, it might not work. How is the procedure of establishing the teacher-student role? I think I answered this question before. A student has to follow the teaching of the teacher. This is how the role works. The student must not teach the teacher. It's the teacher that teaches the student. พลังลาดนอกสาธุปิษณุมูราขาวสาธุ From C. May, dear Ajahn, in the practice of mindfulness, whenever a thought arises, do we have to analyze if each and every thought is wholesome or unwholesome? Sadhu, sadhu. In the practice of mindfulness, you want to ignore all the thoughts. Don't pay attention to any thought. Keep concentrating on your mindfulness object, such as a mantra. Or if you're watching your body, just keep watching your body and ignore all your thoughts. You don't need to analyze them right now. Analyzing thoughts are for a vipassana level. For mindfulness or samadhi level, you don't want to have anything to do with the thought. You want to ignore them and concentrate on what you do or on your mantra. Huang Ming Su, Satu, Satu. From Sally Chi, Ajahn, may I know whether we need to obtain jhana during meditation? Yes, that's the goal of meditation, to reach jhana, especially the fourth jhana, which we call Appana Samadhi or Kanika Samadhi. Because if you don't reach that point yet, it means you haven't yet completed or achieved your meditation goal. You want to reach jhana because jhana will give you peace and happiness and equanimity, which you can use to resist your defilement. From Emma Ayugui. Dear Jan, I was wondering how accurate are all the detailed conversation and information in Ajahn Mun's biography, considering the fact that his disciple Nungta Mahabur wrote it so many years later, and sometimes was not present at the event described. Thank you. You can believe Nungta Mahabur 100%. Whatever he said was the truth, because he was an arahant. So he has no benefit from lying to us. He doesn't need anything from us. So, and those who believe in Nungta Mahabur or reading the book of Ajahn Mun's biography, they are benefited from them, from the book. So you can believe in Nungta Mahabur completely. From the BT, Ajahn, why Ajahn like Ajahn Kao? Another youth spending much time to walk meditation. Nowadays, I cannot sit long. It's better walking meditation before I sit. Is 1 hour enough? Yes, when you don't have much mindfulness yet, it's better to do walking meditation first to develop more mindfulness. You should walk as many hours as possible. The more you walk, the more mindful you will become. The stronger your mindfulness will be. Then when you sit and meditate, your mind can become calm very quickly. So if you find that you cannot sit long, then it's better to get up and keep walking. But you have to be mindful when you walk. You just have to focus either on your steps, left, right, or reciting a mantra, for instance. Or you can recite the 32 parts of the body also. Then you will get more mindfulness. And then when you sit later on, you will find it easier to sit and become peaceful and calm very quickly. Kim Echua, Satu, Satu. Christian Tan, Satu, Satu. From Czech Link Tan, dear Tanajan, after talking to you yesterday, I am back to walking and sitting meditation now after a few days break due to sickness. We are also keeping 3 days of 8 precepts this week, as Monday is a holiday here. I felt touched, inspired, and ashamed at the same time, seeing you teaching us selflessly despite your sickness. Hence, I quickly went back to my practice. Deep gratitude to you, Ajahn, for your Dhamma teachings, guidance by your words and by example. Okay, just keep practicing. You can practice even when you are sick, because practicing deals with the body, deal with the mind, not the body, and the mind is never sick. So you can practice when you're on a sick bed, and you can become enlightened on the sick bed, like the Buddha's father. He became enlightened 7 days before he passed away. when the Buddha went to teach him on his sick bed, then he can understand the truth of the Four Noble Truths, because he's experiencing dukkha in real time. And then he could see the cause of dukkha was his craving, his desire. And so when he has strong concentration, then he can stop his craving and desire. Then he could become enlightened. From Howard Max Lee, thank you, Ajahn. I got what you explained. Keep the pain intact and keep the mind away from the pain. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Yes, because the pain is something that we cannot control. We just have to accept it by leaving it alone. Let it comes and go. As long as you have no desire to get rid of the pain, then you would have no dukkha, and your mind can become peace and calm while you are experiencing the physical pain. Eventually, you will not be afraid of the physical pain anymore because we know how to deal with it. From Su Chik, hi Sayadaw. I would like to ask a question. What is the root of human beings to reborn in this world? The root cause of human beings to reborn in this world are the three cravings. The cravings for sensual gratification or kama tanha, the craving for being or bhava tanha, and the craving for not being or vibhava tanha. If you have these three cravings in your mind, then you will always come back and reborn as a human being sooner or later. From Christian 10, generosity, loving kindness, and wisdom. Dylan Elvis, pardon me, Bante, if it caused any disturbance. I'll try to join the next meeting. Regarding what you said about four elements, so aren't they caused by Vijnana as per dependent origination? No, Vijnana in the dependent origination is one of the four namakanda, not the knowing element itself. So the knowing element has four namakanda. The knowing element has Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, and Vijnana. So I hope this clears your question. Jibachara Longgun, Sadhu, Sadhu, Sadhu. Sime, Sadhu, Sadhu, Ajahn. Another question from assistant.ajahn@gmail.com from Anthony V. CH. China, I presume, from CH means China. I experience detachment of the body where there is no bodily burden or happiness. But this might be also due to the darkness. I become afraid. Is this what a meditator should experience in meditation? Or is this lack of samadhi? I heard that meditator must see bright light. Is this true? When you meditate, you might experience something, but you should not pay attention to them. You should keep focusing on your meditation object and leave the experience come and go. What you want from your meditation is your mind to become calm, peaceful, and happy, and have equanimity. I heard that meditator must see bright light. Is this true? Not necessarily. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. What you want is emptiness. You want peace, calm, and happiness, and equanimity from your meditation practice. From Kek Yen So, Tan Ajahn, sincerely wish Ajahn stay healthy, long life, and always turn the Dhamma wheel. After listening to Ajah's teaching, I started 2 days of 8 precepts at home each week, since last 3 weeks. I will try my best to continue keeping the 8 precepts. Yes, the more you practice, the more result you will get from your practice. You will have more time to do meditation by keeping the 8 precepts. The 8 precept is to prevent you from doing other activities, other sensual activities. So then you will have the time to do your mental activity instead. From Ki Lee, with deep respect and homage, please can you give me the way to set positive mental attitude? Another question is that is everything is included in the sphere of interdependence? How to make strong belief in next life? Thank you, Guru. Please can you give me the way to set positive mental attitude? Positive mental attitude. You have to have the right view, I guess, to have positive mental attitude. You should have the right view that birth is suffering, aging, sickness, death, and separation will be the result of birth. So you want to stop rebirth by stopping your craving. This is the positive mental attitude you should establish. That being born is suffering, because once you are born, you will get old, get sick, and die, and have separation from your loved ones. So it's better not to be reborn. And the way not to be reborn is to stop your 3 cravings: sensual gratification, craving for to be something, and craving not to be something, by the practice of the Noble Eightfold Path. Another question is that is everything is included in the sphere of interdependence? How to make strong belief in next life? Thank you. I don't know your question. What do you mean by strong belief in next life? So, like I say, just believe that this life is suffering, and it's better not to return the next life. And in order not to return the next life, you have to stop your 3 cravings: craving for sensual gratification, craving for beings, and craving not for not being. Then you won't have to have the next life. Lee Ian Lim, Satu Ajahn, Nabiti Wandami Ajahn, Chai Mongkon Khao Tong, Satu Kham, Tang Kim Fong, Satu Satu, Pai Yi Ko. Ajahn, could you explain about karma feeling and how to overcome it? I'm not sure what your question is. Karma has no feeling. Karma are action. There are 3 types of karma: good karma, bad karma, and neutral karma. Good karma will give you good feelings. Bad karma will give you bad feelings. And neutral karma will give you neutral feelings. Mi Peng Tam, Satu, Satu, Satu. From Anthony Lee, send it through assistant.ajahn@gmail.com. Question number 1. What is the difference between someone who accepts the idea of anatta, anicca, dukkha, and someone who experiences anatta, anicca, dukkha through wisdom? See, by accepting the idea, it means you haven't yet experienced the truth itself, the truth of anicca, dukkha, anatta. Someone who experiences anicca, dukkha, anatta means someone who experiences the truth. So it's like accepting something you hear and seeing the thing yourself. So it's like seeing and hearing. When someone tells you something, this is uh, like accepting the idea. And when you come to face with anicca, dukkha, anatta, then this is the experience itself. I guess this is the only way I can answer it. One is just a theory, the other is the actual experience. Which one has the highest blessing? Doing dana, keeping sila, or pavana? You need all three of them. You have to develop from dana, going up to sila, and then eventually to pavana. You cannot just choose the highest, which is pavana, because you will not be able to do it if you haven't had sila or dana yet. From Cecilia Gun Yoksim. Long Paul, when in meditation there is awareness of the knowing emptiness. Do we still have to repeat Bhutto Bhutto or mindful of the breath? Yes. Just keep reciting Bhutto Bhutto or mindful of the breath until you experience falling from a high place, and then your mind becomes still and empty, and then you can stop. But if you can still recite the mantra, or if you can watch the breath, keep continuing on focusing. You haven't got to that point yet. From Sunny Lim, Satu, Satu, Satu. From Indri, Luang Po, good afternoon. May Luang Po be well, happy, long life, peacefully and prosperous. Please, Luang Po advise how we can balance four elements on our body and what benefit from this balance. The four elements, they are more or less balancing themselves. If they're not in balance, then the body gets sick. So when the body gets sick, it means that you have to rebalance the four elements. Basically, just live normally, eat normally, and have exercises and sleeping enough sleep. Then you are balancing the four elements. When the four element is out of balance, then the body becomes sick. Then you need to fix the body to rebalance the four elements again. Okay. From Lily Siswanto. Ajahn, thank you very much. Hope you will recover completely from your flu very soon. Wandami, Ajahn, have a good day. From Chin Li Jing, hi Ajahn. I find staying with family members are a burden compared to seclusion. Also in monastery there are schedule and responsibilities, as now there are lots of teachings in Zoom. So seclusion is really good at the moment. What Ajahn think? Seclusion is probably the best thing when you want to do the practice. But occasionally you might want to be with a teacher to gain more insight, to gain more knowledge for your practice. So you might sort of changing from seclusion to meeting your teacher from time to time. Because when you practice, you want to be alone in seclusion. But when you want more information, then you will have to go meet your teacher. So this is how practitioners usually do, alternating between being in seclusion and being close to a teacher. From Kili, thank you, Guru, for wonderful answer. And I meant to ask that how to believe in next life. If they are so, which one is the Buddha's ultimate teaching? Among the three ways of Dharma teaching, what is the root cause of born in this world? As Guru, you mentioned that it is better not to born in this world, but we have no control. You can have control by practicing the teaching of the Buddha. by practicing dana, sila, and pavana. These are the controllers of your mind. Once you have the practice of dana, sila, and pavana, then you can control your rebirth. You can stop your cravings, your desire. Then you will have nothing to cause you to be reborn again. From Dylan Alvis, in one of your previous sessions, you mentioned about thinking mind and knowing mind. Can you explain it in detail, please? Well, the mind has two major functions, thinking and knowing. The knowing is always there, but it's usually blocked by the thinking. See? So you have to meditate to stop your thinking. Once you stop your thinking, then you'll be able to see the knowing mind itself. But when you keep thinking, then you will only see the thinking, not the knowing mind. The knowing mind is like the screen, your monitor screen. When you turn on the monitor, then you got images on the screen. Then you don't see the monitor, you see the images on the screen. So in order to see the screen itself, you have to turn off the picture, turn off the monitor, the screen. Then you will see the screen. If you want to see the one who knows, then you have to stop thinking. From Cecilia Kun Sok Sim, Kun Yok Sim. Luang Po, appreciate your answer. Thank you very much. From Pai Yiko, thank you, Ajahn, for the answer. Sadhu, sadhu. Here's another question from assistant.ajansuchat@gmail.com. This one from Indra S. Question number 1. During meditation, I feel pressure on my nose bridge. I try to visualize images at a distance to release the pressure, but this creates distraction as I keep jumping back and forth between focusing on my nostril and images at a distance. Can Ajahn please advise? When you have this feeling of pressure, it means your mind is reacting, or your defilement is creating hindrance to your practice. It means you don't have strong enough mindfulness to practice meditation yet. So you should develop more mindfulness first by doing walking meditation, by reciting the mantra Bhutto, or you can watch your steps. Or if you want to sit and meditate, instead of watching your breath, you should use a mantra or recite something like the 32 parts of the body, or do some chanting mentally first until you feel your mind become calmer and feeling a lot easier and lighter. Then you can then watch your breath. You first you have to prepare mindfulness first before you can sit and meditate without any hindrances. Number 2 from Indra S. I read that people use different objects of meditation, such as using corpse, to reduce attachment. My biggest weakness are laziness and having no strong determination. Should I continue on with focusing on my breath, breathing, or does Ajahn recommend any other object of meditation? Like I said in my answer to your first question, you need stronger mindfulness. So maybe it's better for you to do a lot more walking meditation first. Keep developing mindfulness all the time. From the time you get up in the morning to the time you go to sleep, you can use reciting a mantra as a way of developing mindfulness. You can keep focusing on your body activity. Don't let your mind think about other things. Then you will have stronger mindfulness. And then when you have strong mindfulness, you will have strong determination. So try to develop more mindfulness first. Mindfulness is the key to success in meditation. Without mindfulness, you will not be able to meditate successfully. Okay, by the way, we have reached the 1 hour mark now. So I have to ask you, if you are still typing questions, you can continue typing them and send them in. But if you haven't yet typed any question, I would have to ask you to stop because I run out of time and I have to terminate this meeting after I answer the rest of the questions that have sent in so far. From Patsy Chung, Tanajan, when we transfer merit to all beings, is it possible that some beings are able to receive while some others are not able to? Yes, because not every being needs to receive the merit because they have merits in themselves. When they were human beings, they did a lot of merit. So when they die, they don't need to get merits from other people. I have had some experience that leads me to believe this. Is there any way we can do it such that all beings can receive it to be free from their suffering? Well, the merit that you send them is very fractional, very minimal. It's only it's compared to like the droplets of water left in the glass after you drink the water. It's just only for those who really thirsty to have a few drops of water. That's what it means by the merits that we share. So don't pay too much attention to this sharing of merit. You have each individual being has to develop their own merits in order for them to be free from suffering, not by sharing merits. Another question from Sam through assistant.ajansuchat@gmail.com. Many Buddhists were taught that sharing merit after they do dana will increase their merits. But Ajahn mentioned that we will lose some of our merits when we share it after we do dana. Could Ajahn please explain to us more about this? Well, the act of sharing merit is another type of merit that you get. It's not the merit that you get from dana. The merit that you get from dana, when you share it, then you lose part of that. But you gain a new merit, the merit of sharing merits again. So, but these are all minimal merits that you should not put too much emphasis on in your practice. You should put more emphasis on the merit that you can develop yourself, because you will depend on the merit that you develop when you leave this earth, leave this world. And you need this merit, this type of merit to get rid of your suffering. You cannot help get other beings to be free from suffering by sharing the merit that you have. It's just like a plaster you put on a wound, just to temporarily relieve the pain or prevent it from getting worse. That's all. From Keely, please, Guru, don't skip my question about ultimate teaching of Buddha, and is everything includes in the sphere of interdependence and root cause of born in this world? Don't mind, Guru. These are many in the question. Thank you, and longevity, Guru. I'm not quite sure what your question is, but the ultimate teaching of the Buddha is to free us from the rounds of samsara, to get us out of the rounds of rebirth, ceaseless rebirth, by practicing the Noble Eightfold Path, in order to get rid of our cause of rebirth, which are the three cravings: the cravings for sensual pleasure, the craving for being, and the craving for not being. From Adelaide, Bethany. Hi, Adelaide. How are you? Still at Wat Pamantat? Yeah, Tanya Jan. From Dylan Elvis. So does that mean whenever the information gathered by knowing mind is always overwritten by thinking mind? No, the information gathered by the thinking mind, and then it's overwritten by the thinking mind, but it's not disappear. It just put into memory. That's all. You cannot sometimes recall those information that you have gathered before. From Kenny Lee, dear John, sometimes I feel my body heats up during meditation, whereby I feel very hot. Yes, this is normal. And when you sit in meditation, your body your sitting position can generate a lot of heat. So it's not unusual for you to perspire when you sit in meditation. There is no need to get rid of it. It is part of the practice. It's part of the body. When it sit in meditation, it will get hot. But it doesn't hurt the body or anybody. Actually, it's beneficial, especially when you have fever. You can get rid of fever this way. When you sit and your body becomes hot and you start to expire, after you finish with your meditation, you feel the fever disappear. Okay. From Pauline soon. Sadhu, sadhu, dear John. I think that's all the question for today. And that's all the time I have for today. Thank you for joining this discussion from Adelaide. Yes, Ajahn, still in Wat Pa Bantad. Okay, keep being mindful, keep practicing, don't give up. หลวงตาเสสู้ไม่ถอย Don't give up. Fight until you die. All right. Thank you very much for joining this meeting. I hope it has some benefit for you. And if you find that you still need to ask more questions, please wait for our next meeting, which will probably happen once a week, more or less. In the meantime, stay mindful, keep on practicing, and be happy. Thank you and goodbye.